All right, it worked this time. So today is our full moon, and I did advance it to the actual time of the full moon, um, East Coast time. It's almost 10 o'clock, 9:58 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, still in daylight time. And I know, it's just nice when it lines up and you can see that it's opposite the sun. The moon is opposite the sun. That's why it appears full, because the sun is shining on the moon, right? And it's also, I wish I could show you in declination, but it's also lined up so that that's one of, the lunar eclipse as well, because it's lined up in its path. And I have to show that to you some other time. But anyway, it's nice to see it here. So, we've got kind of this, the ending time. We should be reaping that Piscean energy. 2 weeks ago, when it was there as a new moon, in Virgo, and now we're at the end of that, and then we'll be cleaning up things that you've started and 2 weeks ago, and getting ready to have a new moon again. And these cycles continue. And that's what, one of the highlights and the awesome things with astrology, how we can just keep following these cycles. And we look at these through time, and hopefully with ourselves. Our world is so busy now, but we get the advantage of learning through computers and software and looking at cycles of time and going back and seeing what happened at that time. So just one thing I wanted to bring your attention to is Mars over here. Mars is in its detriment. It's in Cancer, and it likes to be, it's not in its happy place. It doesn't, I shouldn't say that, detriment, but it's a um icky place for it. It's square to where it likes to be. It likes to be in Aries, and now I should say it's in its fall position, because its exalted position is in Capricorn. If it's not in Aries, it's home away from home is in Capricorn. And then the opposite of that, the opposite of its exaltation would be its fall. So Mars is in its fall and it's weak here. It doesn't really like to be here. But it's also very, we talked about this a little bit, I think, last week. But it also can be very patriotic. It also could stand up for the home, the Cancerian, be very territorial, having, it could be that, like, look, I drew that line in the sand and you crossed it, and now the results are here. So that, we have that energy that it's going through, and then it will retrograde in Leo. I believe it is. We should look at the ephemeris. Well, I'll get into it next week. But anyway, and then we're going to see it, be a long time over in this, in these signs over here in Cancer and Leo. So just interesting how we watch these cycles happen. So just something to note. Okay, other than that, our full moon today, it's at 25 degrees, you can see, and it was actually 41 minutes. So that's kind of cool. That nice, soft, sensual Pisces, expanded. This might be a good time for dreams, for receiving, but that light and that blue light that it casts is going to kind of wake us up. So it could be maybe not making it quite so sleepy because it's full. Yeah. All right, let's move on. I've got some interesting things going on. Tomorrow, one of the big energies, well, our moon will have moved into Aries. You can see here well, let me go back a few hours, so it's not always at the end of the day. Get it more middle for you. Okay, I like the sun somewhere up near there where we can see things better. Okay, so sun is almost through Virgo. Mercury is halfway through Virgo. And then Mercury, halfway through Virgo, is opposing Saturn down here in Pisces. See, so we have, for full moon was at 25 degrees, and then we have Mercury and Saturn in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces there, Mercury in Virgo at 15 degrees, right in the middle of that area. So it's kind of tense, that's a kind of that one of those critical degrees. kind of like 0 and 29. So 15. So anything, well, you can go a few ways here. And mutable signs at 15 degrees, you'll get the square, the conjunct, I mean the conjunct and the opposition. So you'll feel that. Anything that's in an earth sign will get more of the trine from Mercury, so that might be mentally stimulating. And anything in the any water trine, like Cancer 15 degrees or Scorpio 15 will get the trine to Saturn and get more of that Saturn energy. It might be like your hard work paid off because of the Saturn involvement. All right, so just a different couple ways those can pan out for people at that midpoint of the middle of that degree. All right, so that's also just a kind of a think about, the opposition. Mercury wants to speak, let it out. It's opposing Saturn, and then Mercury, it's in its home sign. It's in its, the rulership there. Virgo loves that, Virgo, and then Gemini, but this is the feminine aspect of it, the lists, the helpfulness, the exacting, the note taking, that side of Mercury, the getting that information out. And then opposing Saturn. Saturn is like, no, screw that, put the list down. Let's just improvise. Or this could also be something like, it's like, you don't need the recipe to make that meal. You can do it. Or you don't need the song sheet to learn that rhythm, or, to follow that. You've got it. Or you don't need those crutches or something, to move on. So that's what Saturn can be putting in with that Piscean over to that that ultra Virgo, Gemini, mercurial kind of energy. That could be real neurotic and nervous and uptight. And this might be the relaxing side. So we can see how it can go either way. How Mercury can add structure to the Saturn, or Saturn can mellow out the Mercury. So it depends on which way it is. I thought that's interesting. Just because of that same opposition, we get it with the moon, the sun and the moon are having that conversation, and then Mercury and Saturn are having that same conversation. So even though it's at different degrees, you'll feel that somehow within those 2 days. Yeah, I thought it's kind of interesting. And then the moon again, it will be in Aries, so it'll be as the moon goes through Aries, it will be, your moods might be more irritable. You might be quicker to react. You might not watch, your speech. You might be quick to say something, out your mouth before you really check the brain. Could be a little aggressive. Your tone might not be as good. You might come across harsh or not so nice. So kind of watch that, when the moon loops around every month in Aries. All right, on Thursday, we have a Sun trine Uranus. So we got, and then Mercury will be coming into that too. So we're watching sort of these patterns like boom, boom, Mercury, or the Sun is ahead of Mercury now. So Sun is hitting it first. So Sun, as it moves, it's like right at the end here, but as it moves over, it will start to trine Uranus. We can see here, Sun is in Virgo, Uranus is in Taurus. So that's kind of nice, on some levels. It's got that, I mean, it's like maybe a surprise, but you kind of knew it. I mean, it's hard to keep things from Virgo. And then, Uranus, it's like it's like, well, it's being held down, being steady. It's like it only has so many choices. It can't be as erratic or out of the blue as it would like. It's like it's in Taurus. So it's like, all right, I know you like candy. So, I got you this kind of candy, but you knew you were going to get candy. Just didn't know what kind. Sort of like that. I don't know if that makes sense. But anyway, that's kind of nice. Sun, Uranus, that's stimulating. Your personality part of you could get something organized. You could get something real down to earth. You can really maybe make something, that trine energy could be lazy, and it could tend itself here, but Not with Virgo. I think Virgo is just too nitpicky and say, come on, you want to help? You know, we need some help. Let's do it. I'll help you clean your room. Come on, let's go. You know, kind of like a puppy dog, you know, helpful puppy dog. So I think that's going to kind of drive it in that direction. So take advantage of that, you know, as we come midweek, you know, over hump day and into Thursday. I think that's a good one to get your personality, you know, something out of the blue or something structured in motion. Yeah, yeah. Take that step or do it. Do it. Ask them. Ask for that raise. Go ahead, do it. Put that music out. You know, be bold there. It's a good time. All right, Friday. We're getting louder as we kind of get through the weekend. We got more aspects happening on some of these days. Moon will move into Taurus here, and it's, you know, going to kind of slow things down, get rid of some of that aggressiveness from Aries. But what interesting thing we got coming up here? Venus is in that quincunx, that 150 weird degree over to Uranus. All right, so we go, okay, but look at the signs. Okay, Venus is at home. It's in, you know, this is the masculine rulership in Libra, right? But then it's feminine rulership is Taurus, you know, so it has that, you know, Libra to Taurus has that quincunx, that inconjunct, that quincunx. But this is always an odd one for me, I thought, because this one I think is much more friendly. I think this one can get along a lot better. You know, usually quincunxes, there's nothing in common, but here it's this, you know, Venus in both of, you know, both of the rulerships of the signs, the feminine and the masculine rulerships right there. And then Uranus, something out of the blue. So I think this is a very, I don't know, for me, it kind of feels fun, magical, just because of the Venus is in its own sign and it's conjunct, you know, or inconjunct Uranus in the feminine rulership of its own sign. So it might be, again, part of that shaking up something that's like, yes, now either, you know, shit or get off the pot. I love that expression. Do it now before the window closes. Go for it. Kind of a quirky, but yet settled, you know, with it being in Taurus energy. I don't know if this would work in any other signs if we just did that like that, but I think this secure oriented, wanting maybe the finer things or to take that step for security, you know, in Uranus, it's like, yeah, maybe make that bet or do that thing. It's kind of there. But and then this repeats again with the moon in a few days. You know, the moon will make the same aspect over there, which hopefully I'll remember to tell you. All right, in earth signs, so that's interesting. And then the sun also is opposing Neptune. Okay, this is the little but. So just make sure that whatever you're going for, you've thought it out. You know, I mean, I kind of like this because the sun is in Virgo, and then Mercury is in Virgo. So I think if any other time it wouldn't work because of, you know, it wouldn't be in Virgo. Virgo has the list. It's checked it 3 times. It knows, it's exacting. And I think if you just keep that in mind, you can overcome any of the nebulousness from Neptune, any of the things that are maybe making it sour or making it not right or making doubt or something or being an illusion, you know, because here's, you know, we got deceit and illusion here, but I think the sun is lighting it up here. And then Mercury is close by. So it is adding to that. So I think that's good, but just be aware of that because the sun is in opposition there with Neptune. Could also be a good time to pull in that intuitive, creative energy as well. Just again, always beware of that, you know, trickster, that too good to be true part of that. Excuse me. Too good to be true part. I took a drink of coffee. I was like, oh, my voice. Okay, let's move on here. Saturday. Well, this is a busy day. It's coming Saturday and into Sunday, depending where you're at in the world. I need water. This is when there's a lot of aspects happening. It's busy. It's very busy astrologically, so it'll be busy in your life. And if you have things at these certain degrees or a lot involved, then it just might be more specific for you. That's where having consultations with a good astrologer will help always. Okay, the first one here is Mercury square. Let's find Mercury. Mercury, and we have it with, let's think quality. Okay, so we have mutable, think mutable, cardinal fixed mutable. So Mercury, and it said square, and it's going to be Jupiter. And we can see it's just a little bit past here. If I went earlier in the day, it would be exact, but it just passed. But you'll see here it's at 20 degrees, 21 degrees, and there is a square. So what do we have there? We have mutable squares aren't as bad as say fixed squares, or and then let's say cardinal next, and then mutable the next, the weakest, because they like so mutable. It's like, okay, it's on to the next, or it bends, it doesn't work, or something. So, anyway, we've got this information, and it's like Mercury ruled, Mercury square to the Jupiter and Gemini. So, we got the Virgo, loves to be there, but then, Mercury's, still, the male or masculine ruler is Gemini. So we still have the good, they're both good. It's like the parents kind of to Mercury there, it's got, both of those signs, mom and dad sort of, we got that positive, or that, that outward and inward, it's balanced, because same as the Venus thing, I showed you that the inconjunct, that quincunx, and it was the Libra Taurus, both of the signs that Venus rules. So this is very interesting that it's resonating like that, with both of those energies, like Venus, its signs, and then Mercury, its signs, different aspects, but not good aspects, but they're still, square in a quincunx. But anyway, it makes friends with it. It makes it, I think, useful. A lot of words. I'm sorry, I'm a little wordy tonight, but it's kind of funny energy, and I haven't heard a lot of people talk about those in specific, but yeah, I think that's kind of make where you think something's not going to work, it does. I don't know if I should try this. Try it. You've got nothing to lose. This is the time where you're going to maybe gamble and win. All right, and then here's the Venus quincunx over to Neptune, and this is kind of interesting because Venus loves to be in Pisces. It's exalted in Pisces. And then Neptune is there in its own sign of Pisces. So this is also very nice, very magical. It's not that just that we have nothing in common. It does, because Venus would like to be there. So it knows that. So, sometimes these sometimes it's seemingly sour alignments, or negative alignments aren't always negative, so don't always think like a quincunx 150-degree is going to be a bad mix. It may not, and you saw several of them right here. So I think this is going to be kind of a magical week. I think just to stay alert and focused to it, and remember to breathe. Always remember to breathe. Okay, next one. Mercury. I should put in the I don't talk a lot about Chiron, but this one is in effect. Mercury is making a 150 over to Chiron as well. So maybe more communications, Chiron and Aries, more communication in the wounded healer, telling people, maybe dropping your guard down a little bit and being able to communicate your pain without being a burden about it, without going on and on and on. Also, because we have the Mercury in Virgo here, it's going to, Virgo's gonna be like, but if you can cut to the chase and go right to the heart with that, I think it will be well received and worked through. All right, I know there's a lot of stuff right now. This is an important week. And then the sun is trine Pluto. All right, so now we come back to earth signs. So I say trine, you should be thinking element. So then we have the sun at the very end at 29 at that critical degree of Virgo, over to 29 at that critical degree of Pluto in Capricorn. But it's Earth, right? So it brings more solidity there to it. There's a nice flow. The sun, with the Virgo, maybe getting some information or shining some things into the depth, maybe helping something finally transition on, and then we had those, the other stuff with the earth signs with Uranus and the Venus making that as well. So interesting interesting mix of energies that we're going to have here with, healing and maybe moving things on. It's a very, very poignant week. There's a lot in motion here. So yeah, and as we're coming, right into the vernal, the fall equinox, um, going into, when the light now is equal, and then the days will be getting shorter. The light will be less, the dark will be longer in the northern hemisphere and opposite in the southern hemisphere. So that is what's happening here tomorrow, which would be September 22nd on Sunday, later in the day. Let's see, we have it. Do I have it lined up here? Yep, right there. So 0 degrees, it already went in a little bit earlier than that. So also, let's see, I didn't mention it. Where is it? The nodes. Actually, I wanted to go back into this. Okay, let me go back here before we did. I wanted to see that Mars, we just started this week out with it. Oh, yep. There we go. It was kind of like a couple days ago exactly. No, we got one more day. There we go. So Mars here is right in this, we've got what we call it, the bends, or it's square to the nodes. So we see the nodes are in cardinal signs, Aries and Libra, and then Mars in its fall position. Remember we talked about that when it was at 7 degrees, making that, the two squares. So things could, were a little dicey, a little aggressive, a little testy in here. And I think that's what set up maybe the thinking of not wanting or going through opportunities came in. But I think as we get through the week, we can see that doors will be open. Okay, so back to Sunday. We have, again, the sun moving into Libra, and we've got the moon moving into Gemini. So we have an air trine with the sun and the moon right on that day, on the first day of fall, or the first day of spring. Interesting, that airy movement, which will definitely feel different. Even if you're more south or whatever, northern hemisphere, the change will just it'll be in the air. It'll definitely be in the air. And then now here's where the moon, as I was telling you about, actually when it was just at, let me just go back a few hours because I want you to see this. That's because we were talking about it. Bring the moon back. All right. Yeah, it was just at the end of Sunday, kind of moved on. But here we had the moon and Venus. So moon 27 and here Venus 28. So we have that same quincunx, because it's right here, when the moon actually goes over Uranus. So Venus there to Uranus and to the moon. You want to get when it hits 28, you'll see that. So we have that as well. See, we had Uranus over there to Venus, and then when the moon moved over, and we have that moon energy. So there again, we have another dose of that quincunx, the 150-degree angle, but that with the nice mix of Venus being, it's her sign. So it's almost like Venus, or like if you or somebody goes over, it's like you know a little bit of the language of those people or that tribe. And you're the one that goes over and talks to them and then comes and brings back what they say to these people don't know. Something like that. All right. And let's go back to days. Okay, so that's interesting. And where are we at Sunday? And then we also have Venus squaring when it hits the next degree. It's flying. Look at that. Let me just, gosh, I got to go by the hours. It's just a few little bits away. There we go. Huh. Okay, so Venus here in cardinal sign, right, in Libra, and we know that we have the Capricorn Pluto there. So Venus has got to, confront Pluto too. Venus has had some work to do before she goes into Scorpio. It's like a rite of passage. She's got to just go from nice to just, nasty, kind of, this time of year. But it's like she had the test. So here she's got to talk to Pluto. She get to talk to him over here, talk to that deep energy. Go into that rebirth of something, maybe birth something out, burp up something, puke up something that's no good. Sorry, but that's kind of how it is. And then when it, when it passes, it will be in a whole different place. And then it moves into, oh, we do the hours. Whoops. And then she moves into Scorpio. We already talked about the moon is in Gemini here, near Sunday, Monday. The energy will pick up again, be a little bit more scattered from all of that stuff over the weekend. You might, it'll feel different. We got that air trine, the moon there in Gemini, and then the sun in Libra. So yeah, that's interesting. So if you have anything, what else am I looking for? In Aquarius, then it'll be a grand trine with you, because that's the other air sign. What else? What else? That's kind of bringing us near the end of the week. On Tuesday we'll have Mercury making that trine. As Mercury's getting on to the end of the sign here, it will make the trine. It's in Virgo, right, over to Uranus. So that's some maybe sudden voicing of something, and we'll talk about next week. But suddenly finding your voice about something, or some voicing something down to earth, saying something that's real, maybe, when it actually, let me just hit that next, because Venus, it's going fast. I mean, Mercury's going fast. So, it's like that, saying something solid, putting something in writing. We'll talk more about it, but this is definitely, we're coming into this nice trine. Okay, so that is our week. Think about the cycles. We've got the full moon, so we're finishing up things, and then for the next 2 weeks, we'll be kind of clearing out that cycle before we get in the next new moon. So certain things should be completed. We've got this magical energy, remember, going through the week. So take advantage of opportunities, and don't be afraid to go out and push and ask for opportunities, because that's where this magic will lie. All right, enjoy your week. Good luck. Bye for now.